G'day guys, my name is Lord Tomo, here again with another, well, it's not actually a Sonic the Hedgehog review, as if you've checked out my channel you can probably tell. It is something actually quite different. It is, as you can probably read, Spawn the Beginning. Now, you guys obviously know that obviously Sonic the Hedgehog is obviously the first thing that I more or less collect, the passion of mine, etc, based on obviously what you've seen so far. But as made promise throughout obviously my channels here and there, I will be reviewing other small things that I'm more or less interested throughout obviously my, I guess, time being on here, I suppose, and one of which is obviously Spawn. Spawn. It's actually called Spawn, the actual comic itself, but there are other sub-variations such as Curse of the Spawn, stuff of that nature, but that's a whole different ballgame. We'll talk exclusively just of the main canon story, which is obviously Spawn. Now, obviously, you know, that I like Sonic. I also like, you know, Power Rangers. I collect those things as well. Not as religiously as Sonic, of course, but it is something that I do. And another thing that I'm more or less into is obviously the Blue Beetle. You've seen a glimpse of that. And there's another comic that I actually read, which is called Spawn. Little bit of history before we start unpacking it and describing the thoughts and whatnot of everything. Spawn is a original creation by a guy called Todd McClaren, if I pronounce Todd McClaren. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. My apologies if I got that wrong. Basically, he parted away from Marvel Comics, and with the co-founders of other people, they also parted from Marvel Comics. They created the publisher and development team known as Image. Spawn is one of them. Now, I started reading Spawn, the comic, I think at issue 70, and ever since I read onto it, funny enough, what made me get into it initially was I wanted to watch the movie, which my parents never let me. And obviously, long story short, I read some information on Wikipedia. I flicked through a few comics when I went to the comic store. I was like, I loved it. I won't divulge too much in the story because, funny enough, the story here is extremely involved. Is it? Not involved so much. It's very convoluted. It's not surface level. It's not good versus bad as such. It really makes you think about the prospect and the ideologies of what makes a hero and what makes a villain. The general consistent or the general premise is this hell versus heaven, and Spawn is just a pawn in the whole game, which they also play homage to. You know, Spawn, pawn, the whole chess aspect. And like I said, I won't get too much into the story. I do encourage you, obviously, if you like, you know, this sort of stuff, to check it out. It's definitely worth a read. I think they're up to issue 200 and something, so they've been on around. So this was a statue released by the guy Todd McClaren. You know, I'm gonna get corrected, I can guarantee you. And I figured when I saw this in the comic shop, I said, you know what, I'll just pick it up. It's definitely something that I would really want to check out, because, you know, being a fan, I would like to have some sort of thing. Not a toy collector of Spawn, but resin statues, that's a whole different ball game. Enough about me, enough about talking. You probably got bored of me saying what I needed to say, but let it just be known, I read Spawn the comic and its various, you know, subdivisions, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And here's a statue. I've got another one called Curse of the Spawn. I will review it down the track. And I also got Haunt, which is a whole different ball game, which is, you know, if you guys want my thought on this, I can definitely make kind of like a vlog sort of thing. But anyway, enough about me, enough about this, and just let's get into the review. The actual box itself is overall well designed. It's kind of housed in comparison to what Spawn general aspect is, and by that I mean he's meant to be greeny, he's meant to be dark, he's meant to be demonic, he's meant to be heart wrench, or depending on who you speak to and depending on the alliteration, if it's Al Simmons or, you know, or Jim Downing. But anyway, so this is predominantly white. I kind of thought, okay, it makes sense in a way, from a spiritual and poetic kind of way, in the sense that, without once again too much in the story, Spawn in essence, or the character they initially, Spawn is the symbiote, which is the costume. It's a living creature, and it more or less, you know, not consumes, but wraps around Al Simmons at the time. Different character now, but Al Simmons at the time. And Al Simmons is, to a lot of people's contrary beliefs, or to a lot of people's dislike, once an evil man, but he wanted to atone for his sins somewhat. And I guess the packaging is more or less the beginning, a reflection of once the purity is seen, it is then tainted by the darkness, which is symbolic. I know it's kind of poetic, I'm probably looking too much into it, but, you know, if that's the case, if that's what they're going for, I think I nailed it. Spawn the Beginning. Okay, that's that. On the side, it's just another thing, a limited edition statue, pretty impressive. And you have obviously the logo here, which is there you go. Not current front size. This guy makes a whole bunch of Spawn toys and various other things as well. This is the back. It just has a bit of information. Long story short, the first ever conceptual design that Todd, the comic, creator, more or less, designer, whatever you like to call it, did was this image. Then this is also a reflection to that. So this is the first image he's ever done of the character Spawn, and this is more or less paying homage to the first image he's done by making a resin statue out of it, kind of saying thanks for staying by, thanks for keeping by. This is the first image I did. This is the first statue that I more or less transcended from paper to statue, which is pretty nice. I think the first 100, if I'm not mistaken, is signed by the actual guy. My one is not signed, as you can probably tell from here. My one's just a standard. I'm not too fast. I just wanted this just for just for display purposes, really. If I can get, maybe it says limited to 900 pieces in the world, so I got one. I think my one's 384. At the bottom, it just has whatever's, and at the side it just has that. And at the top, this is obviously the logo. Every single comic character issue, if you can call it that, has its own logo. So that's right. So that's that. The box overall, beautiful design. I can kind of see where they were going with it. And a little nice attention to details, all these little marks in it. If you can go here, you can even see the chains, which is also one of his abilities, if you can call it that, which is pretty nice. Like I said, I won't go too much into storyline because it's a whole different ball game. He's not like your conventional superhero. He's not really a superhero at all. Now, I'm going to say this straight off the bat. I'm not entirely sure if this was a bonus given to me. I haven't read up on this. I'm guessing it's perhaps, but pretty much what this is, I'll show you what it is. Well, that's what I said. Is the issue 1? I'll show you here. Issue 1 and issue 2 of Spawn the comic. This was the original comic. I already have one. They just, I guess, I'm just gonna have a quick read of the box. Let's see, this limited high pattern, pleasure 3D representation, introduction comics to the character Spawn to the comic. This is not only captured tiles per. I don't see any details saying that it's meant to come with it. I'm pretty sure this was more or less given to me as a bonus when I got this from my comic store, because they initially had it on display obviously to sell it, and I'm only guessing. If somebody really knows about this, let me know. But look, I got an extra, Spawn 1 and Spawn to the comic. Pretty nice. I'm not fussed about it. It's a nice little addition. I figured why not, right? So why not? Next thing, it comes in a very interesting design box. Not gonna complain there. It is what it is. Pretty impressive. Put this aside. Take this out, and voila, just standard. And this is more or less what's meant to come into it. It's pretty heavy-ish, if you can call it that. The first thing is obviously this little. Well, I'm gonna take this out. This could be the first thing. I don't know. And you can already see over here where it says 1992 to 20th Todd McLaren Productions. And this is the actual design. My one's 384 of 900. Pretty nice design. Pretty nice. I'm not gonna play. It's definitely a keeper. Put this here in the meanwhile, and I'm gonna be super careful with this because I don't want to wreck it. After I packed it away, just to show you the unboxing. Pretty anticlimactic, I say. Okay. I'm in love with this. Now, before I connect it, that's pretty much what it comes with. I'm just looking this way. Before I connect it, this is pretty much the resin statue. You can see how beautiful the attention to detail. Ironically enough, I did check out other videos of this. A lot of people apparently don't find this pretty awesome. I don't understand why they wouldn't. The attention to details, seen as this did play homage, and I will show you because I will need to stress this out. It plays homage to the actual, first picture that he's ever done. Like, what do you expect? Seriously. Like, somebody who hates this, I'm just like, really? I know it's a matter of opinion and I can't really speak off it, but that's what it is. You can see the awesome attention to details, from his abs to his design to his overall cape, and you even got like little loose ends trying to reflect off kind of like the whole metal aspect of it, which is pretty awesome. And you have his little claws there, and if you move him the back, you have more of a design of his actual cape, which is actually sold me initially when I first saw it on the stand. It still sells me, and this is the actual top. I'm trying to get it's obviously I'm using my webcam and it's pretty hard and designed, but that's the overall design. I'm just going to connect this and connect. Okay, there we go. Absolutely superb. Now, some of the major criticism that people get is, well, look at this, our cape is going there, and his cape is going there. Okay, they don't expect like that, but I'm going to assume they speak like that. Well, truth be told, when something gets blown by wind, is it specifically always the one direction? Is it always north? Is it always south? Is it always east, west? Is it always one directional? No, wind in essence and in nature is sporadic. So who's to say the wind doesn't come from this direction, blows it, and then you have another gust of wind? You know, a lot of people, I guess that's the criticism. They're like, oh, look at the cape, it's all over the place. But one of the general aspects of Spawn is how movement his actual costume is, and how spiritual, in a way, kind of is in a reflection to who he is as a person. Another good example that I'd like to throw in there, tornadoes. How do they form? One wind goes that way, one wind goes that way. He then forms a kind of tornado effect, or tsunami, not tsunami, a tornado effect, and away he goes, right? Wind, in essence, air, in essence, nature, in its core entirety, is sporadic. So you would expect it to basically move in directions to whatever direction it wishes. So to have it one direction is pretty awesome. To have it multiple direction, I guess it's trying to portray that it's more or less a real life aspect to it. That is my general thoughts of this. Mind you, this is purely opinion based, so a lot of people that reviewed theirs are going to be like, oh my god, why the fuck? I don't know, I'm going to assume. But I do honestly like the statue. It is definitely worth its weight in gold. I think I got it for maybe $200-ish, I'm not mistaken, because I had staff discount, been going for years, yada yada yada. But honestly, I do find this to be a very beautiful statue. Admittedly, this captures Spawn in more than a lot of the toys that, you know, he actually made. And admittedly, those toys that have been made, which I don't have collect, but I have seen and messed around, it's not as A, well detailed, and B, it just looks stupid. This, in my opinion, is just the beauty of Spawn in its entirety. But as it falls back, it is what it is, and you know, you can't really complain about it. I'm not going to complain about it. It's a beautiful statue, and it's personal opinion. You can truly see the differences, especially when it's paying homage to the actual first original image that he's actually done. But you know, that's me. Anyway, guys, that's enough about this review. Do I enjoy it? Definitely. Is it a nice piece? Definitely. If you're not a Spawn collector and you're just into your dark, gloomy thing, this might not necessarily reflect to you, because red, you know, I don't know, reds with blacks in this sort of combination with whites kind of doesn't look all gloomy in that. But if you're a Spawn collector, look, I definitely think it's worth its weight in gold, and it's, you know, especially if you get the one that's signed, that's even apparently legendary. But that's besides the point. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate that you watched this review. Obviously, if you're one of the ones that just watched Sonic, it's definitely something different to watch, of course. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, just watch Spawn and you want to check out my other reviews, hey, look, definitely, it's up to you. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and tell me your thoughts on it. I honestly do want to know your thoughts on what you thought of the statue. Do you hate it? Do you like it? Can you give me a reason why? Maybe, I don't know. Opinions are there to be changed, of course. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Speed on, and happy collecting.